Good afternoon. I would like to say that I'm proud and honored to be standing in front of you all today. I tend to get emotional. I'll try to do this without crying.
Don't worry about it.
I want to thank you all for the efforts that you've made to be here today. This is not the most beautiful day weather-wise, but it's the beautiful day activism-wise, and I thank you all for being here. You all can make a difference. So my name is Don Teater, and I'm the medical advisor at the National Safety Council. Our mission at the National Safety Council is to prevent unintentional injury and death. And as we all know, overdose has become the leading cause of unintentional death in our country now. I'm also a primary care doctor and a family physician, and I still spend 2 days a week treating patients, primarily doing addictions treatment and treating those who are addicted to opioids. And I will share with you doing that changed my life. Obviously, you're all well aware of the results and the causes of this terrible epidemic. As a physician, I accept responsibility for the medical community and our part in this. You see, I was a practicing family doctor when Joint Commission told us that pain should be the fifth vital sign. And I invited the Purdue reps into my office and listened to them as they told me, and I believed them as they told me, that OxyContin was not addicting and was not dangerous if you treated pain with it. With good intentions, but with little knowledge, my colleagues and myself began prescribing more of these medications. We had a false belief that they were safe and they were effective. Now, 20 years later, we know that they are not safe, and we also know that they're not very effective. Most of you know that there is no evidence that opioids are effective for the treatment of chronic pain. In fact, there are some epidemiologic studies, some very large studies, showing that people with chronic pain put on opioids have a worse quality of life. But did you know that opioids are not very good for acute pain either? 2 Percocet pills taken together are no more effective than 1 over-the-counter ibuprofen for the treatment of acute pain. Ironically, these opioid pain medications are often called powerful painkillers. The truth is, these pills don't kill pain, they kill people. So we are here today because despite the fact that these pills are killing our sons and daughters, our brothers and sisters, our parents, even our grandparents, they're still ubiquitous in society. They're all over the place. When I give talks around the country, I ask people in the audience, how many people have opioids, how many have Percocet or Vicodin in their closet, and most of the hands go up. People keep these pills. Yesterday, 9 people were killed in a horrible shooting in Oregon. President Obama rightfully spoke out against gun violence and the causes of gun violence. He called it a shameful day in Washington, and it is. He said that he is afraid that Americans are becoming numb to gun violence, and maybe we are. He expressed his anger and frustration at being able to do little regarding the gun violence problem. Well, Mr. President, yesterday more than 45 people died from overdose on opioid pain pills. More than 20 people died from heroin overdose, most of them having started on opioid pain medications. I don't see you on TV today declaring that. I see flags flying at half-mast. We should have flags flying at half-mast every day for our friends and family that are overdosing on opioid pain medication. I believe our administration has become numb to the problem. And Mr. President, you don't have to be frustrated and upset about this because of your lack of power to do anything, because you can do something about this horrible epidemic. Here are some suggestions. So immediately, this administration can expand the availability of buprenorphine. So I do addictions treatment, and we have waiting lists of people get in to see us because we're at our limit. And it's been that way for 10 years since I've been treating this addiction problem. I also treat with methadone, and I have people coming into my methadone treatment when buprenorphine might be more appropriate for them, but they can't get in to see a treatment provider. So right away, they could expand the availability of buprenorphine. There should be no limit. So currently, the limit for providers treating patients with buprenorphine, you have to get a special certification, and for the first year, you can see 30 patients. After that, it's 100. All right, and there's no reason for the limit because buprenorphine is safer than any of the other opioid medications we prescribe. It's safer, and yet we don't have any limits on how much OxyContin we can prescribe, right? We can prescribe as much as we want. Yeah, that's crazy. I'll echo that. So let me say the DEA has responsibility to make sure that the opioids are prescribed appropriately and safely. The vast majority of prescribers nowadays are like I was 3 years ago. They do not understand the true efficacy or the risks of these medications. When I speak to prescribers about this problem, I talk to them about how ibuprofen is a better choice. It's more effective for pain relief and it's safer. And we do surveys after I talk of these physicians, and 87% of them say that it makes them change the way they will prescribe for pain. So the DEA has a responsibility. The DEA can require that doctors and dentists and other providers get this necessary education to learn these facts before they're given the privilege to prescribe these medications. And we've already heard about the FDA. And I won't echo that very much other than to say I think it's just horrendous that we have approved the use of OxyContin for 11-year-olds. You know, as Dr. Kolodny said, this was done without any oversight committee looking at it, and it was done based on information provided to the FDA by the makers of OxyContin. How horrible is that? Who can say that's appropriate at all? I don't know. We know that these opioid pain medications cause changes to the brain, which is why so many people get addicted. So oftentimes doctors think of these as being very safe, but they cause changes to the brain, and these changes are apparent within the first month of taking these medications. And if they're apparent on MRI, which is how this study was done, you know, it's very reasonable to believe that these changes begin almost immediately as we start taking these medications. And now we're giving it to 11-year-olds who have a developing brain. Who knows what effect that's going to have? And how can you say it's safe without looking 20 years down the road to see how many of them are now addicted or dead? So I have a final thought. Why does our society continue to respond to this epidemic with a casual disregard? I mean, it's seldom mentioned. We often hear the word stigma used, and I think stigma is a good word, but there may be a better word. I think it's prejudice. You know, I love the phrase and I love the call to action that says Black Lives Matter. Well, I would like to expand that and say all lives matter. So, Mr. President, it's time to end this prejudice and treat those with the disease of addiction as citizens, as children of God, and as human beings. So I thank you all for being here again. I'm proud to be a part of this and to be here with you all. It's a horrible day weather-wise, but it's a great day because you all are going to save lives today. Thank you.